Hello, my name is Contover. This is a current buzz. Thank you for watching today. Today we have the director of Chelmsford DPW, Christine Clancy. She was in the DPW in Lowell, Massachusetts, and she decided to make a career move to Chelmsford, Massachusetts. Talking to her previously, I found out that she lives in Chelmsford. And how do you like Chelmsford as a town? Sure. As governance?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I love Chelmsford, so I'm a resident and also working in Chelmsford. I think it's a great community, and I love it. My husband's been here for many years before I've been here, but we've been here now 10 years.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, 10 years, and we live in North Chelmsford.
Okay.
And we love it.
So your children go to the Harrington School?
So I have one in the Harrington School, and one will be going to the Harrington in some years.
Yeah, all right. Good school, good school. I have a few questions to ask you.
Sure.
About DPW. What's the umbrella of the DPW?
Sure. So the DPW it really has various departments. So highway, stormwater, sewer, facilities. So maintaining all of our 28 buildings, also all of our parks, engineering department, and also in the part of facilities, but solid waste recycling is also part of DPW.
Oh wow! So you're the director of all that.
So it covers a lot of the infrastructure in town and some of the services that are offered as well.
Your education to get involved in.
Sure. So my background is civil engineering.
Okay.
I went to UMass Lowell for civil engineering, and then coming out of that, I went into consulting world in civil engineering. Still working for a lot of municipalities, but as a consultant. So I worked in a lot of Massachusetts towns or cities, Somerville, Cambridge, Springfield. Working on a lot of urban infrastructure projects, sewer separation, water. Infrastructure, sidewalks, roadways. From there, I also obtained my master's in construction management from Northeastern University.
Good school.
Yeah, great school. Yeah. And then from there was an opportunity in Lowell, Massachusetts to become the city engineer. And at the time I was doing a lot of commuting into the Cambridge, Boston area. And it just seemed like a great opportunity close by. So I became the city engineer, and shortly after that, because there were some commissioners that had left, I had the opportunity to become the DPW commissioner in Lowell. So I did that for a couple of years, and then the opportunity arose here in Chelmsford, and I just thought it was a great opportunity to be able to work and live in the same town.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's been the past year and a half.
Now, do people come up to you at the Harrington School and say, "I think these trees should be taken out and because they're dying," or something like that? Or
I mean, definitely people come to me in the community, but I do try to keep some separation if
Okay.
possible. But yeah, I mean, people come up and ask questions.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I mean, that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to ask you some questions.
Sure.
And yeah, so we could talk about it. Is there any plans to buy electric cars in Chelmsford?
Sure. So we have purchased electric cars too. So us being a green community, we've made a commitment to purchase green or electric vehicles. I know we've also purchased hybrid vehicles in the past, but really moving forward with electric vehicles. There's limitations with DPW on buying electric vehicles for heavy fleet and even for plowing. When we're plowing,
Oh, that's right, 24/7.
So that's the thing, we're plowing 24/7, because it does take some time for the vehicles to charge. Okay. So whenever we're plowing, we really, right now, cannot purchase electric vehicles. And same with the heavy fleet, that, in time, those might be available. But right now, we actually have 3 for DPW. I have one, and one of our engineering department has an electric vehicle, and our stormwater department just recently purchased one too. They're all 4-wheel drive, so actually I have driven them around mine in the snowstorm. It's a Ford Mach-E. It's a Ford Mach-E. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's actually heavier than some of the SUVs, so I've driven it in some of the recent snowstorms that we've had, and during, while we're actually out doing snow operations, kind of driving around, making sure some of the roads are cleared, and it handled very well in the snow.
Oh, so, good. That's good to hear.
We'll continue. I think the health department has a vehicle next year, so there's been other town departments purchasing electric vehicles. And then important part of that is to also build the infrastructure needed, so charging stations. So we have charging stations at DPW. I know here in Vinyl Square, this town offices, the library. We have one fast charging station at the Chelmsford Forum. It typically can take up to a day to charge your vehicle.
Wow.
But if you go to the Forum, you can probably charge it in under an hour. So it's a much faster charging station. And then we're looking to add some. So we're actually, I think I just was able to find some funds where we could probably add some behind town offices. There's some grant reimbursements as well. Also on the electric vehicles we purchased.
There's a lot of grants reimbursements.
Yeah, so I think it was $7,500 for on the state side, and then we're actually just pursuing another $7,500 on the federal side. So that's $15,000 a vehicle, which is substantial.
And you save on gas.
Yep.
You save on oil changes, right? There's no brakes that you have to repair.
No, there are. I mean, there's definitely maintenance needed. I would say there's definitely maintenance. Having my car for a year and a half, there's been some maintenance that has come up. So I think general probably wear and tear is probably similar. And the only other thing that is a hurdle is if there's something wrong with our gas or diesel vehicles, we have extremely talented mechanics that can go in and figure it out. I actually had an issue with my electric vehicle, and they couldn't figure it out, so it had to go to the dealer. So that's something that we're looking to see if we can get more training for our staff for electric vehicles, but that is the hurdle.
What's the longevity of that you believe that you will have the electric vehicle? Is it 5-year life, 7-year? You don't know.
So I don't know the lifespan. And the battery, I think, is what's very costly. So I don't know, but I mean, I think a lot of our, in terms of replacement plans, we look to keep our vehicles, 10 to 15 years. So I hope it's that time frame.
Yeah. Okay. Snow plowing. That's what we have you for, right? Do you have certain vehicles that plow main roads? Let's say Richardson Road, North Road first. And then you branch off?
So we have 36 plowing routes, and so everyone basically has their assignment. Okay. So we go out, but obviously the focus is always the primary roads if we're ever down. So that is our focus. We do have vehicles assigned to each route, but sometimes if there's people out or vehicles down, we do make adjustments.
They do go down, right?
Yeah, they do, especially during a storm, before a storm. We try to keep parts on, be able to fix them quickly, but sometimes parts can be, longer time.
Understandable. That's good to know.
We have wing plows that we put on some of our bigger vehicles, and that can plow some of the wider roads. We also have brining.
Let's talk about brining, because that's something new, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think it's becoming more common across the state and municipalities, and so it's just a different way to pre-treat your roadways. I know the state's been doing it for some years, and last year we piloted the system, and so what it does is really just a mixture of water and salt. It's about 23% salt. What it does, though, is you put it down. You have to put it down on a dry road. So that's one of the conditions. So if a storm starts with rain, you can't go brining.
Okay.
If the roads are wet, because sometimes you have back-to-back storms, you can't put down the solution. But on a dry road, we put it down ahead of a storm. You can put it up really 24 hours before.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which is great to be able to pre-treat. It adheres to the road. You can also add mixtures. We haven't gone there. I think that the solution as is working well. So it basically just really binds, it sticks to the road well. And what it does is when the first snowflakes start falling, it helps to treat that surface. What historically, I think we used to wait until you get that first inch or two to start plowing, but with brining, we actually just go out and start scraping the roads right away. And really what it leads to is I think a more efficient cleanup. I actually had a photo that we have at so we actually did a test in front of DPW. We brined half the roadway at Alpha Road, and we didn't do the other half. And when we scraped the roadway, you can see where the brining solution was. It basically breaks that bond, that initial bond.
No kidding.
And so it is just a cleaner cleanup. And then we use less salt too. We tracked it last year. We used the brining solution 4 to 6 times, several times I'd say. And each time we saved on salt consumption or salt use or application.
We still have salt trucks.
We still, we have to still, this is pre-treatment too. So even though you're brining, it has its limitations, but it's very helpful in certain storms, we still are salting with our trucks.
When I see a salt truck on the highway on Route 3 or 495 or in town, I pull off the road because those little salt bounce
They
up
can
on my
bounce,
hood,
yeah.
and there's little chip marks on the paint. So I never follow
Sure.
a salt truck.
And the brining solution too. So we actually have signs on the back of our brining trucks, stay back, because when it sprays, that can spray onto your vehicle too.
Oh,
and it's not, I mean, the salt itself is caustic, so it's just,
Yeah, interesting. So the old days, they used to take the snow and they used to dump it in a river or whatever.
Can't do that.
They can't do that anymore. What's the reason for that now?
So that's all really tied to the MS4 permit, DEP, EPA guidelines. And so I know, I think it was 2015, in some communities, there was nowhere to put snow. You always try to look for snow storage. In the recent years, we fortunately haven't had to really haul snow too much. We have some capacity at some of our DPW facilities, but yeah, we really, from a EPA, DEP, from an environmental, because you would just be putting all that pollutant loading into the river. In 2015, my understanding is it was allowed in some communities, but that was a pure emergency basis and it was permitted. So,
So in other words, to do that, you have to get a permit.
It has to be very, it has to be a very urgent. And I don't know, and that was in 2015. There also was the new MS4 permitting guidelines that became in effect of 2018. And so that does put more stricter requirements on the communities. And basically, it's just to make sure that we adhere to our maintaining our stormwater infrastructure, and also just trying to clean up or really reduce any pollutants that go into our stormwater.
If I remember 2015, we had snowstorms every weekend.
Yeah, that was where we had, snow was, to people's second level.
Excuse me.
So.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about stormwater. There was a law passed, I think, 2016.
So 2016, in effect 2018, it's the
Right.
MS4 permit requirements, and so we annually submit a report. The requirements coming out of that update was there's just more requirements now required in each of the communities. And that's really why so DPW has its own stormwater division. It's a stormwater enterprise, so it's self-funded. We do have a stormwater fee, so it goes into everyone's sewer bill.
It's $40, right?
$62, and actually it's going to go up in January, $2 more.
Oh, wow,
And
okay.
and then if you're commercial, though, it's actually, we look at the pervious area, so there's actually fees that go up from residential to 62. That's for the year, though. So I think in terms of your each half the year, it's it's half that. So that helps fund the division, and really with the MS4 permit requirements, we needed to that required more resources, more staffing. So we have that division that was created, and I think it was established.
What's the purpose of this? I mean, make it simple. I mean, what's the purpose of this stormwater all of a sudden coming up? And
so
because all this, we have how many drains in 4,000, over 4,000?
4,000 to 5,000. Yeah, we're actually still trying to capture in our GIS model where all the catch basins are. We're updating that, but I would say about 4,000 to 5,000 catch basins.
Oh, wow.
So just like you're maintaining your sewer system, there was a period of time where more cities had combined systems and they had to separate. Our stormwater is its own utility, and you have to maintain it, and you want to make sure that so when the stormwater eventually goes to a stream or brook or a river, that you're wanting to make sure that there's no illicit connections, there's no pollutants that are loading those streams, because that can impact downstream locations or drinking water. And so what we do, what really the division does is maintain the stormwater infrastructure. So that includes culverts, catch basins, cleaning all the catch basins. We inspect them. We clean them just to make sure, because the catch basins have sumps, so that the debris from the roadside goes into the sump, but then the water is able to just discharge to the system.
Let's talk about cleaning. Lately, the leaves are on the catch basins, right?
Yes.
What do you want people to do to clean that up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, especially Monday's rain event, we had 3 inches of rain,
Right.
and DPW was just going around clearing leaves off of catch basins.
Right.
So that can be a hindrance for the water to be able to get into a catch basin, especially during a more severe event as of Monday. So what we ask people to do, and we do it too, and also when we do our street sweeping, that does pick up some of the leaves as well. But if you have a catch basin near your property, we ask people try to just remove the leaves from it.
Yeah.
Because that is a hindrance, and it was evident in some cases on Monday and we were just going around. We would get calls. You know, we had some water at the McCarthy parking lot. It was because of the backup of the storm drain system.
Oh, no
so
kidding.
We go and we just cleaned it out.
So if you have a snow shovel, just take the leaves with the shovel and just put it on.
Just put it off to the side.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's helpful. And if you have a stick or something and there's water, you could try to find holes.
Yeah, because you got to find it too.
Yeah.
So you want to look for it, and so you can kind of scrape it or with a
Yeah.
stick. And then if someone can't do it and they think it's a nuisance, they can also call DPW.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
But
Yeah.
we ask people to help
Yeah.
and assist because we just 4,000 or 5,000, we can only do so many.
And fire hydrants.
Fire hydrants we don't clear. That would be the water utilities, I believe. do
Yeah,
that.
but I mean,
yes.
if people, fire hydrants, we don't have fire boxes anymore.
No,
I mean,
we do
those are
not.
extinct. But,
Sure.
I used to shovel the one in my neighborhood out so people could get to it if they had to.
Yes.
And the fire hydrant should be cleaned out also. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help you, let people
Sure.
know that, to clean it up. Does anybody take the snow trucks or any vehicles home with them?
So not necessarily just the snow trucks, but we have a list of people that are able to take vehicles home, and those are really people that are we basically say, well, you have a vehicle, but you're a 24/7 employee. In that,
Okay.
if you have an emergency, instead of reporting to DPW to get the vehicle and then to the incident or the site, you can just leave from your house. And so
Right. Makes sense.
all the division heads, most of the division heads have them at DPW, foremen. And then also with our sewer on calls, there's some people that, because if they get called to a pump station, we want them to go right to the pump station, not to go to DPW.
Makes sense.
So, but we have that list, and basically they're, we know, and I know our town's insurance knows that these people can take vehicles home.
Pump stations, I see sometimes, I think pump stations are security risks. Are there fences around pump stations?
We do
All
have
of them?
some fences. We have some, I know, more screening. We also have locks on the door, locks. So that's the thing. There are some pump stations that are more below ground where there's some upgrades happening to, Myland is the next one, Kensington is after. So we build what I call sheds to house
Right.
the equipment inside. And those are locked. And some have alarms so that we,
Oh, okay.
and then we also are checking on them very frequently, daily.
Yeah.
And sometimes more often.
No, I think they're basically a security thing that, some fences should be put around them.
Yeah, we do.
because
There are a lot that
some
we
of them I
do.
know.
Some of the neighborhoods prefer arborvitaes or others, so we do some type of screening, and we work it into the into the neighborhood.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about, is there anything else you want to talk about, snow plowing or anything?
I guess the only thing with
you
snow
have?
plowing, I know it often comes up is contractors, and so I think it's not just regional, maybe even national, but I can only speak for Massachusetts that there is a concern with being able to retain or attract new contractors. I think we've done a good job the past few years.
Oh,
having
good.
People come back, but if you look at where we are today versus where we were a few years ago, we're down pieces of equipment, and that's the thing is if a piece of equipment goes down, then you're further down.
You know what's happened with that, in my opinion, is a lot of these drivers have aged out along the way.
Yeah, I think, and people are busy still. People are still doing landscaping. People are busy doing renovations, and so I think as long as that we have that kind of competition with the construction right now, and so people, because plowing is a difficult task. You're
It
out
is.
for long hours, and it's wear and tear in your vehicle. We did increase the rates, so I think we're pretty competitive. And that has helped.
Do we know how much it is an hour in case somebody's listening?
So I think it starts at $95 an hour.
Oh, that's not bad.
But then it goes up depending on the vehicle.
I see.
We also we had an incentive that if you signed up by, I forget the date, it was in November. If you signed up by a certain date, you had a $500 incentive sign-on bonus essentially.
Okay.
And then if you attend all but one storm, in case someone's sick or. Then you also get another bonus at the end of the year. So that's what we're seeing some communities do is some type of incentive so we think we've been creative to try to attract people, but we do have a concern with just being able to keep.
My cousin in New Hampshire told me that they're losing drivers in New Hampshire and they're coming to Massachusetts.
Maybe.
Because
Our rates,
our
yeah.
rates are much better.
Yeah,
So
that might be.
He's upset.
Sure.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
obviously, we're always looking for people, but I think right now we're able to cover all of our, and then we also have a couple people from the water utility that help. We're able to cover all of our routes, but if someone's sick, then we're down, down.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. I mean, or something in regards to maintenance with the truck, tires, anything can happen, with the blade, that type of thing. Let's talk about trees in the community. What's this? Oh, I want to ask you about when you make what do they call it? You cancel. You tell people not to park on certain roadways.
So a snow ban.
A snow ban.
So I know that's come up before. So some communities do a snow ban that takes effect all winter, and so at certain times of night. I've talked about it. We haven't, moved that forward. What we do is before a storm, we coordinate with the police department. Notices go out, and we just say a parking ban is in effect. From tonight. It depends. We usually start it just before a storm, and then we also allow it to go just past the storm for cleanup. Those hours are posted on our website, on the police's website, and then pushed through social media.
And Chelmsford Media has it on their.
They have it as well.
So
yes.
You can watch that. Let's talk about trees. I have about 5 minutes. Let's talk about trees in town. What's
sure? So
because I see some trees are dying. In the Chelmsford High parking lot, there's some trees dying. There was some in front of the Harrington. You probably noticed them, seeing that you have children going to the Harrington. So,
sure. So we do with the tree committee. The tree committee is very helpful in helping, really promoting for the growth of our tree canopy or establishment or preserving the tree canopy. We've actually looked, there's been a lot of tree surveys that the tree committee has done, and so our canopy is dying off on an annual basis. And I forget the exact percentage, but I think, I think we're talking like 10% over so many years. And that is a concern, and so how do we try to reestablish that? So one thing we did this year is we did plant 28 trees with DPW, a lot in the center common that was coordinated with the
I did
board.
see that in the center common.
And there's a whole listening session.
Yeah.
That was very successful. And then we did another planting in the fall where we just found some dead trees that clearly, so if they're clearly dead, we can just go, I as a tree warden can just go in and say, take them down. If the tree is not dead, or suspected to be dead, what I'll do sometimes is I will hire an arborist to evaluate it, because sometimes they don't look it, but they can be diseased and pose a risk.
Right.
And then there's the cases where there's a need for construction, or sometimes National Grid has concerns either with their wires. If it's still healthy but needs to be removed, that requires a whole tree hearing. So we go through that process if needed. But we did also replace some trees around town offices that were dead, and then 3 in front of Harrington.
Yeah.
We're actually
Good.
working on a new list right now for more plantings. And so we can probably we did 10 in the fall, 18 this past spring. I think we have a really good crew at DPW that now understands how to plant trees as a whole. It's not just as easy as sticking in the ground. But yeah, and also one thing to note too is that this past fall we passed a new, created a revolving fund. So when someone does need to take down a tree, what our bylaw requires is a 1-to-1 replacement.
Oh, good. I like that.
Which is great,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've kind of had to, I don't want to say chase, but go after some. So there's some people, like National Grid is an example, they had some trees that they needed to take down, but now I have to say, okay, you still owe us an X amount of trees.
Should people contact you if they feel the tree should be down, that's rotted out or something like that?
So on their property, it's up to them.
Yeah, okay.
But anything in the right of way, and we just this past year we had over 100 calls and inquiries where we actually went out and looked at trees. So what we do is we go out first, we say, is it on town property? And then if it is, we then consider, do we need to evaluate it? And if we suspect it potentially could be a concern, we then either, if it's dead, we can deem it dead. But if I have any hesitation or concerns, I just consult with an arborist because I'm not a certified arborist.
I see. So that is the tree policy. Who takes down the trees? Does the town take down the tree?
So if it's in the town right of way or on town property and it's dead, we will take it down. And we have, if it's something really, really small, DPW can do, but if we usually consult with, we hire a tree company, we have a tree contract.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we have, so that tree revolving fund basically establishes a way where we can, if someone has a tree hearing and needs to take down a tree, we do the 1-to-1 replacement. We have to pay,